Chitfadens here for episode 3 of the Kowa month. Today's episode is a little more tricky than last week's edge blackening, but also introduced by James Price. Today we'll be slashing minimum focus a tad closer. The Kowa B&H is an amazing projection lens, and until quite recently a double focus setup. That meant relying heavily on diopters for close focus. The Kowa's minimum focus isn't too bad at 5 feet or 1.5 meters, but it would be nice to go a little closer. So here's what we're gonna need for today. A Kowa B&H or an Elmo 2, a tiny screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and a file. Before we start, here's some useful information. Projection lenses vary their stretch factor across the focus range. I'll come back to that in the future, but for now, here's a comparison of the Kowa focused at infinity. I'm using a 0.5 diopter, which means infinity is at 6'6", and at the original minimum focus at 4'8" for me. The nominal stretch factor of 2 times is only valid for infinity. As we come closer to minimum focus, the stretch factor decreases to about 1.8 times. Single focus solutions are able to fix this as you keep the anamorphic block focused to infinity and then the stretch is constant. But until recently that wasn't a possibility. And even then, not everyone can afford a single focus solution, so double focus is still a valid option. I believe this is a process like the previous tutorial that can be applied to a number of other projection lenses, such as the Kowa's 8C and 16H. I haven't been able to verify that, so if you try it out and it works, let me know please in the comments below. The first step is to get to the core of the lens. Using the screwdriver, loosen up the 3 tiny screws around the front ring. Now, get a grip and rotate the front ring out. This will set the buddy's glove free and you can spin it out all the way through the back. Welcome to Grease Land. You will find 3 little brass tabs around the lens. As you move the front element back and forth, notice these tabs are the focus limiters. The front marks infinity and the back is for minimum focus. At minimum focus, you can see a gap between the front element and the body. The goal is to eliminate said gap. It's good to warn you that not all Kowas have this gap. 2 out of my 3 didn't have it, so once you open it up, you'll be able to assess if it's a mod that you can do or you can't do. Sometimes you can find a tab with a longer back part, and then you just need to take that one out and enjoy your fixed minimum focus. The advantage of that situation is that if you want to restore the lens to the original condition, you just put the tab back in and you're good to go. That wasn't my case though. Take each brass tab out. Their screws are pretty tough. Do not proceed if you're unsure about permanently modding your lens. Here's your warning. In an ideal world, instead of using pliers and a file, we would have the tab held strongly by a vise, and then we would cut the tab using a fine metal saw. Too bad this is not the ideal world. Using the pliers, snap the end of each tab and then file the cut clean. By cutting them, we change how far back the front element can go and we eliminate that pesky gap. Screw all the tabs back with the shorter part facing the back of the Kowa. In all of my lenses, I had a longer tab that I experimented just taking it out to see what would change in focus, but that allowed me to focus past infinity, which is no good. So the solution was to cut the back of it as well and then screw it back into place. If you change your mind after cutting the tabs, the best that you can do is get one of the shorter tabs and turn it 180 degrees, so the shorter part is now facing up. This way you would have one focus limiter for infinity and another one for the original minimum focus. Reassemble the lens. When you put the glove back together, you'll notice that focus marks won't align anymore. So what we're gonna do to fix that is we'll loosen these 3 screws around the skirt with the focus marks, and that allows it to rotate. So focus to infinity, adjust the skirt to match focus at infinity, and then tighten back the screws. Time for testing. Here's our previous shot at 4'8", and here's the new one at 3'8". The stretch factor has been further decreased to 1.7 times. On James' tests, he was able to come down to 2'8", and stretch was down by 1.55 times. I guess nothing comes without a price, right? Well, since we're on the subject of price, I would like to take a moment to thank James for the effort of putting all the data in the forum and then clarifying my many questions through detailed messages. You are an inspiration, sir. Thank you very much. Now, if you're still here and you had the guts to follow all these steps, please let me know how it went in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because next week we'll be improving the Kowa's optical performance through a sharpness tune-up that you can do by yourself. So I'll see you then. Verhadens out.